Before we get into today's episode, here's a look at a show we think you might like.
Hey all you journers out there, this is Journey Sitwell. If you're new to this channel, we're all about searching out the mysteries of the supernatural and trying to disprove what doesn't sit well with us. On today's special episode, I thought we could do a little introduction to the members of my new investigative team. Let's get started with my friend Dan. Hi, Dan.
Hi. My name is Dan Ryan, and I go to college, and that is all, and I am normal. Can you get the camera off me, please?
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Dan. And this is Mordecai.
Yo, what's up, dude? Is it cool if I burn for this?
Okay, look, Mordecai, I don't want to get demonetized. Can you please just put that away right now, please? Stop.
Yeah, one sec. Okay, what's up, everybody? I'm Mordecai Spellbridges, and I'm a friend to magical creatures and beings alike, including Dan, my best friend.
Great! Thanks, guys. And now for the sponsor of this week's episode. This week's sponsor is, Memester of the Week.
Memester of the Week is a Monster of the Week actual play podcast starring these three weirdos as they go investigate strange happenings and fight what goes bump in the night.
You can find Memester of the Week wherever you listen to podcasts, if you're a podcast person. That's all for today's video. How does that sit with you? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more spooky content, and hit that bell to be notified whenever I release a new spooky episode. See ya!
Shadows in the Smoke is intended for mature audiences and may contain material that some people find disturbing. Please see the episode description for content warnings and listen with care. Mr. Lloyd, having discovered this annotated copy of Grimm's fairy tales, are you lingering in the studio of Sir Harlow, or are you going elsewhere?
Mr. Lloyd is going to look around the shop a little bit longer and see what he can find there.
Fantastic. What specifically are you looking for?
I'm going to look through the books and maybe see if I can't find anything related to the demon threat. I mean, this is the home/shop of someone who's very interested in the occult and the esoteric. Odds are he might have something that could help with that.
That's an interesting bet, and one that Mr. John was also visiting Sir Harlow to try to follow up on. I think this is going to be an information move with reason as you're looking through Sir Harlow's books. This is going to be at disadvantage considering the voice in your head that expressly does not want you to look up this information.
That is an 8.
Mr. John and Miss Douglas, the dancing lesson concluded. Where are you all going for the rest of your day?
Maisie is definitely going to revert back to her original plan for the day before Mr. John asked her for dancing lessons, and she's going to go to Harlow's shop and look around.
The recently discovered clue sets John's mind back on this demon threat, and this vulnerability with Maisie also has him feeling in a mood like he's opened too much of his heart, and he is now going to see if he can rectify that with other parts of his body. He threatened in the first visit to Kilburn Abbey that he's no stranger at corrupting Puritan girls, and I believe there is a nun who is trying to give up her ways as a lady of the evening that he wants to pull back toward the dark side.
Yeah.
Can I dress as a priest?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Hooray. So there's all these clothes and shoes that are discarded. I'm going to take a priest's cassock and...
You're just stealing people's clothes!
Yeah, fuck them. I'm going to beat tracks to this convent, donning the collar as I do.
Maisie just watches One Shot pulling clothes from a pile and, running off.
there's nothing else, Miss Douglas. I have something suddenly came up, and I gotta go purify my soul. Bye.
Oh, all right. You weren't wearing that when you came.
And I won't be wearing it when you see me again.
Oh my god. Please be wearing clothes next time I see you, please.
No promises.
Oh god.
Miss Thanero, what about you? Your vulnerable scene now concluded. Where are you going for the rest of your day?
Ina, having reined in this shaken, unsettled feeling, is now feeling full, satiated at the height of her prowess, and there's definitely something going off in her mind regarding this new seamstress that has come onto the scene. So Ina's going to go to the former modiste of Vittorio Clemenza to see what has changed and to meet, hopefully, Hazel Beaumont.
Miss Thanero, you find yourself walking down the streets of Savile Row, a area of London that you know well, of course. These vibrant, bustling storefronts. Everywhere you look, this relentless display of luxury and excess. Very well-to-do gentlemen and ladies in the finest of clothes walking down the street and loading packages into grand carriages. I have a paint the scene for everyone here as Miss Thanero is walking towards Hazel Beaumont's shop. They say a perfect fit makes you feel like a new person. How do the wares on display in Savile Row tempt you to reinvent yourself, even assume a new identity?
For all his rough and gruff demeanor, the one, maybe two suits that John owns and his well-worn shoes, there is an opulent, lacy, roughly dandies poet shirt that, were it to fit just right, one shot could begin to enjoy the affectations of a romantic.
With the idea that clothes make the man, Rabbit could easily see himself getting a new outfit and blending in with the height of society, dropping his accent for a more upper-class one, and not worrying about all the little day-to-day things that he has to do.
Having lived at such a high level of wealth and wanting for nothing for most of her life, Ina would be drawn to a cart that would be laden with various types of cloaks. And she would go for something simple, something to hide everything that she is so that she could disappear into a much simpler, unknown, not powerless, but a less controlled existence, something that could teach her something new that she does not know.
Maisie is accustomed to owning very little and all that she owns being very simple and comfortable. But when she walks Savile Row, she does see the grand collections of frilly, pretty dresses and the jewelry and the nice slippers and shoes. And it does cross her mind to be someone that someone else takes care of.
Miss Thanero, you arrive at what used to be Vittorio Clemenza's modiste. Now transformed, the name outside now says Mistress Beaumont. The windows are covered in veils and scarves. The door has a silver plate inscribed upon which says, "Appointments only."
Ina looks at this sign and rolls her eyes. This woman is new on the scene. Deigning to only take appointments feels very arrogant for someone so new in this area. And knowing the little bit of information that we already have, I think this triggers even more alarm bells for Ina as to who this woman, this seamstress, might be. Ina is absolutely not accustomed to being shut out of any room or any fine place in London, so she huffs and raps very sharply on the door.
Miss Thanero, as you are doing so, you're hearing the strains of conversation from two individuals that are walking down Savile Row in your direction. It is a gentleman and a lady. The lady is statuesque. She is tall, taller than you, wearing a corset and shawl, very extravagant jewelry and very heavy colored eyeshadow. She's holding a silver cigarette holder in her hand, posed very dramatically as she is sashaying down this street. Walking next to her, you almost smell him before you see him. He has seemingly bathed himself in very heavy cologne. He is wearing a clearly very nice suit that is extremely ill-fitting on him. Seems as though he paid outrageously for it, but could not pay to have it tailored. He has a somewhat woeful expression as he is trying to keep up with the chattering young socialite who is on his arm. And she hadn't even heard of the symbolists. I mean, can you imagine? I said, darling, if it doesn't have the power to utterly consume me, body and soul, then what's the point? She spies you and sort of titters a bit of laughter. Well, darling, you're not going to be able to have an appointment with Miss Beaumont that way.
Ina looks her up and down, not the least bit amused at this laughter that this girl has laughed at her. Well, darling, based on this extravagant outfit that you're wearing, I assume that you know how to get an appointment. Please do consider sharing with me. I'm just dying to get in.
What is your name, fair creature? She extends her hand. Sylvia Belrose.
Ina takes it and shakes it very firmly. Ina Thanero.
Why, Miss Thanero. I dare say you're correct. I do happen to have an appointment with Miss Beaumont. However, the information on how to get one I would be happy to share with my friends, but if I understand correctly, Miss Thanero, you are not very kind to those who consider you to be friend. I did hear what you did to Dame Margaret Teasdale, and I do not wish to be another casualty left in your wake.
Ina smiles a sickly sweet smile. My dearest Sylvia, I can only assume a woman of your culture would absolutely understand that Dame Margaret Teasdale had to be put in her place. We just couldn't have her running that mouth all over London. The rest of us have suffered enough.
They're very pretty words, Miss Thanero, but I can't say that I can trust you. I do not wish to have my reputation sullied.
Well, trust is earned, is it not? How about you and I go to lunch? And maybe we can see if some trust blossoms.
Miss Thanero make the day move with presents.
That is a 7 plus my presence of 3. That is a 10.
Sylvia regards you, and I think also regards the gentleman at her side that she has clearly grown rather bored of at this point. Well, Miss Thanero, I must say, I am feeling a little bit famished and starved for good company.
Well, my darling Sylvia, could I interest you in something a little off the beaten path to satiate your hunger?
I myself am always drawn to the unique, Miss Thanero.
And based on how you are dressed, you have immaculate taste. I have a little spot called Tiernovos upon Thames that I would love to introduce you to. It's very exclusive and only for the highest quality of humanity.
And you have membership to this club?
Ina reaches into her pocket and pulls out the gold token. Why, yes, of course, darling. I am Ina Thanero, after all.
Well, this was a lovely promenade, Vincent, but I shall see you later, perhaps. And she links arms with you. Off we go, Miss Thanero.
Yes, off we go indeed. My carriage is just around the corner.
Mr. Lloyd. Now, Sir Harlow, as we've said, was a famed occultist and specific expert on Fey lore, but his interests were broad. And in a book, Mr. Lloyd, you find an old, barely legible letter tucked into a book of demonology, detailing the ingredients and steps needed to conduct a demonic binding spell. That is a clue for the Demon of Kilburn Abbey, and you can add that letter to your personal quarters.
Ooh.
But Mr. Lloyd, as you are turning the pages of this old tome and turning this letter over in your hands, you feel tiny legs on your hands and arms as spiders, hundreds of tiny spiders, start pouring out from the spine of this book.
Rabbit is actually weirdly comfortable around insects and spiders and whatnot. So what he does is he just stands perfectly still in this moment and allows them to crawl over him.
Mr. Lloyd, as you are standing perfectly still, you're starting to feel little bits of thread wind about your body as the spiders are working to cocoon you. This will be a night move. What are you afraid will happen if you fail?
Rabbit is afraid that he will be bound into a cocoon, much like Richard Harlow was, and then used as a bargaining chip in the courts of the Fae.
Mr. Lloyd, it's worse than that. You will be bound and delivered to Mistress Beaumont, who, with the beguiling power of the Fae, will reintroduce you to the Fae court as her consort. This is a night move with composure.
With my composure of 0, that is an 11.
I'm going to stay with you for a moment because I would like you to describe what Miss Douglas sees as she is arriving at the flat of Sir Richard Harlow.
She sees Rabbit standing there holding a book open and just a cloud of spiders walking all over him. He very carefully picks up what appears to be the largest one out of the book, holds it up to his mouth, and whispers something to it, and then sets it back down, and it scurries away. And all the spiders join it, leaving him going back off into their dark corners.
Maisie just stands in the doorway for a second and just abject horror at what is happening. Rabbit, are you all right? There was a lot of spiders on you a second ago. Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm fine. Sorry, didn't hear you come in.
Yeah, you were covered in spiders. I'm not surprised. Seemed a little busy.
I think it was a little warning, maybe, left by the person that did this. Maybe a little gift. But don't worry about them. They're not an issue right now.
Good. I do not... I guess it was my own fault for coming to the spider silk shop thinking that there would not be spiders, but I don't know.
Well, it should be fairly spider-free at this point. Fairly.
You say that as if you were not just covered in spiders not 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, but they're gone.
But for how long? Maisie just sort of walks away from that with her skin crawling. It's it's all right, they're just crabs, but from the land, it's all right. And she starts inspecting the silk that is all over the place here, because her initial instinct upon hearing about the silk was to come and see if she could use some of this to fix her pelt. So I do think she wants to inspect the properties of the silk.
Why don't you make an information move with reason, please?
It's only a 7.
Mr. John, disguised, heading to the local convent that is close to Kilburn Abbey. Tell me the name of this nun that you know.
This is Charlotte McGowan.
She is a novice in this nunnery, very young, very pretty, and she sees you walk into this convent disguised, knowing you from a previous life of hers. And I think there's just a look of confusion on her face.
Good afternoon, Charlotte.
You are very curiously attired, Mr. John. Why are you dressed in such a way?
Since the last I parted your company, Charlotte, my thoughts have been filled with nothing but you and your decision to take your holy vows, and I saw fit to turn over a new leaf.
Oh, have you entered the monastery?
Not this one, no, they're still trying to place me, but, I did, get my confirmation. I let them dunk me in the water.
Oh, sir, I am so very proud of you.
Well, it's all thanks to you, my dear. Your past ways and the sins that we committed together. I feel like there's still a stain on me of them. I feel like I might never be clean of them, but I'm hoping that a place as historical and storied as Kilburn might be able to purify me. And of course, I come prepared to purchase indulgences.
Well, sir, I am honored that my decision to step into the light helped lead you to salvation.
Leads me there, yeah, certainly, but I fear I'm not all the way there. I think, though, that this priory, it's got the last remaining clues that I need, and I don't know, I've been talked to by holy men before, and I'd like to read their words. When I was barely older than you, I was docked in Illinois, where I met a holy man of a blasphemous order I know now, but a new American religion. He was a Mormon. They had all sorts of garments they made us put on and such, and well, I don't know if you would know about these kinds of creatures being from a frigid clime such as this, but they're spiders. They're called fiddlebacks. And they hide in linens in dark places, and part of the I suppose you'd call it the hazing of joining this here church was to put on the funny underwear. I did, and well, darn if that spider didn't bite me right in my credentials. They were venomous things, you see, deadly poison. There were no doctor in the settlement being as new as it was, so I asked the man preaching these words to me, a fellow by the name of Joe, to suck out the venom then and there, which he did. He did me that favor. He may not have saved my soul, but he did save my body, as I undid my trousers right there, and he put his mouth to my nethers and took that venom into his own mouth. Consequently now, in, I think, vulnerability or gratitude, he showed me the very documents, these plates made of gold on which his religion was written. I feel like there might be writings here in Kilburn that I could peruse that might do more to convince me than his did.
Okay, Mr. John, this sounds like a tall tale to me.
God's honest truth.
Well, regardless, please go ahead and roll plus presence, please.
10 plus 1 is 11.
All right, so on a 10 plus, they fall for your charm and do as you wish or reveal a clue, your choice.
I have more I would like to do with this character, so I would like her to take me to the place, and I'll investigate there with my own eyes.
Charlotte reaches for your hand, and then as she does so, she blushes and drops it. That was so forward of her.
Oh my, what a story. I'm so happy that you're all right. Oh, how good of that man to save you.
I believe it was the Lord working through him to keep me alive long enough to meet you. A woman of the true faith.
I see that your vows have not tempered your very pretty words, Mr. John.
Nor have they tempered your very pretty face.
Well, you said that there was perhaps something you were interested in reading within the Abbey. Is that correct?
It's got a long history. I believe it should have a library or an archive, something like that.
Yes, there is the Abbey archive. I could escort you there if you'd like.
If you didn't, I'd just be blind, blundering around, and who knows what worse mistakes I could get up to. I'd be grateful for the guidance.
Fantastic. Let us go together then.
I nod and allow her to lead the way.
Let's pick back up with Miss Thanero. I want to hear about this club.
Tirnavos upon Thames. You cannot find it on a regular map in London, but those who need to find it find their way there. It is nestled beneath the crumbling arches of a forgotten, abandoned theater in Southwark, and the entrance is a wrought iron gate that is partially sunk into the riverbank of the Thames, and it is covered in green moss, but also something darker, almost oozy in a way. Inside, it is lit entirely by candles. It's very dark. It's very luxurious. All of the tables have a circular velvet curtain around them to block out any unwanted conversation or stop you from being overheard. The floor is black. It's veined marble and the veins are silver. And the ceiling of the club looks like a twinkling night sky.
Miss Thanero, you and Miss Sylvia Bell Rose enter this secluded space. There is a dining room that you enter into that is richly decorated. There are all manner of trophies and artifacts on the wall, these fantastic beasts, these rare pieces of art, relics from forgotten civilizations. I have a paint the scene for you all here. What revered artifacts have been stolen away from their homelands to be demeaned as mere decorations?
There is a collection of hundreds of golden and silver and bronze burial masks that originally were interred with kings and queens of an ancient civilization that were subsequently dug up the bodies discarded simply so that they could be displayed here on the wall.
The club itself, despite its name, is not upon Thames, but the building itself actually runs under the river, and water drips down the pillars to irrigate plants that were once in the Hanging Gardens of Babylon.
There is a corner where, under a light, an obsidian statue carved in the Mayan style depicts a woman with wings and claws.
So as you enter Tir Navos upon Thames, there is a beautiful entrance stand where you might find an attendant. It is never staffed, but displayed on this black marble countertop is an Antikythera device.
Miss Thanero, you and Miss Belrose pass all of these treasures as you move to sit at a little table. Far off in this dining room in a corner, you spy out of the corner of your eye an elderly bachelor who is dining alone this afternoon, just gazing vacantly out into space as each course of fine food is placed before him and then removed, untouched by him. But Miss Belrose is chattering wildly in awe as she is sitting at this table.
Well, I've never seen such a fantastic place. And so you go here often, Miss Thanero?
Oh yes, I'm a very, very frequent patron of this establishment. I know many of the other patrons very well.
It does seem as though you are just the set to know. Perhaps my worries about Dame Teasdale were misplaced.
I very much appreciate that apology. She just grew so tiresome. I was bored of having her constantly around, chattering away non-stop.
Well, dear Miss Thanero, I hope that you will not be bored with me.
Darling, I don't see how I could be. Come along now.
So, tell me, what is your interest in Mistress Beaumont?
Well, I myself am quite the collector of avant-garde fashion, and seeing you on the street, and knowing that you have already been to see Miss Beaumont, I just had to get the information for myself. I love having beautiful things.
Well, I have not yet had the pleasure of an appointment from Mistress Beaumont herself. I do, however, know some of her assistants well.
And she sort of flashes her eyebrows a little bit and taps her cigarette holder.
Quite well, actually, one might say.
Ina signals to a passing waiter, puts 2 fingers up in the air, and just mouths the word Stygian smoke. Oh, my darling, now, before we get into all of this juicy gossip, let's get a drink, shall we?
Absolutely, Miss Thanero, as long as you're paying.
Darling, I wouldn't have it any other way. You are my guest today, so you will want for nothing.
Let's pick back up in the flat of Sir Harlow.
Miss Douglas, as you are investigating this silver thread that is everywhere in this flat, you're finding little things caught amongst the tangled pieces of thread, little bits of cloth, little bits of paper, a glove held aloft in the air. But one item does catch your notice. It is a bill. Plucking it out of the air, you find that it is a bill for a very expensive suit. Very expensive. Written on this bill in flowing, spidery letters is a handwritten note that says, "Nothing worthwhile is without cost, and the price must be paid." That is a clue for the spider silk seamstress. Miss Douglas, I am curious to know how you're feeling in this space, given everything that you just saw happen with Mr. Lloyd, being in the same room as the body of Sir Harlow. Just what is going through your mind right now?
Having just seen Rabbit covered in spiders after presumably, inspecting and looking around and touching stuff, Maisie is worried to touch anything in here, but she knows that she has to. So it's just hesitation and a little bit of fear and worry.
Sure, go ahead and take the condition hesitant.
Having inspected the silk, can I now use some of it to repair my pelt?
Yes, of course you can. So I would love for you to describe how you use some of this silvery thread to repair your damaged coat.
Maisie pulls out the pelt, which so far has just been repaired with the gold thread that she got from Vittorio Clemenza. And she lays it out as best she can on sort of one of the cleaner surfaces here and starts collecting silk with like a pencil to try and sort of wind it up into like a little ball. And then seeing how sticky it is, just sort of tries to use it to like glue pieces back overlapping. Obviously the pelt is never going to look as it used to, and so this is a sort of mishmash repair that she's attempting on her own with a magical substance that she has come across. So she's sort of gluing pieces together as best she can.
All right, go ahead and check one of the boxes on Severed from the Sea.
Rabbit does sort of stand and watch her repair the pelt for a moment with interest. This is something he hasn't seen before. This is a type of magic that is not in his wheelhouse. But ultimately, he just got a very clear sign that the Fae are still very active and very present in this location. And so I think that gets pushed out of his mind, as does the threat of the demon that rests within him. And he brings his fingers to his mouth and whistles. And from the shadows of the bookstore, Ket appears.
Maisie screams.
And hops up onto one of the tables.
Good Lord Jesus, what is that?
That's just a cat. Just my cat, you know.
Since when do you have a cat?
Well, I mean, I've had him since I was little, but he's just found his way back here. And to be fair, I don't really have a cat. Technically, I think he has me, but that's neither here nor there.
He's never been in the house.
No, he's been in the house. He's very quiet. You wouldn't see him unless he wanted to be seen.
Oh, so he's very, like, stoic.
Most of the time, yeah.
Maisie tries to pet him.
Ket smells Maisie's hand as she reaches out to sort of give him a scritch, and just full-on headbutts himself into her and starts rubbing up against her hand and arm.
Oh, he's not stoic at all. He's so sweet.
Huh, look at that. He likes you.
Oh, I like him. He's so sweet. Oh, hello. Just like scratching him all over.
The loudest purr you have ever heard in your life emits from this very large tomcat.
Maisie has never seen a cat this big. She's maybe seen like cats around London that are like the scrawny little street cats. And she's like trying to hold him in her arms because he's so fluffy and beautiful. And just like, I am at peace.
Sorry to interrupt for just a moment, Ket, but I do have a favor to ask you. And Rabbit reaches around through a couple of his pockets and finds a card and literally holds it in front of Ket, who takes it in his mouth. And Rabbit says, right there, see if you can't find the lady who did all this and send her my regards, would you? And the cat takes the card, hops off the table, looks back at Rabbit, looks back at Maisie, looks back at Rabbit one more time, and then jumps out the door.
Bye, cat.
Am I allowed to know what was on the card?
It looked like a playing card or a tarot card, just a kind of unremarkable card.
Oh, so like a Mr. Lloyd's calling card, so to speak.
Effectively, yeah.
Let's go to the archive of Kilburn Abbey. Mr. John, Charlotte leads you into this very poorly lit, surprisingly disorganized space. There is very thick carpet that muffles your footsteps. As you enter, you catch just a whiff of mold, and underneath that, a bit of blood and sweat. I have to paint the scene for you all here. This room has been used for rituals in the past. How do you know this?
I think, owing to the blood, there's the votive candles that you see in any good chapel, but there are also disciplines, which are basically like seven-tailed whips used for self-flagellation.
There are several dark reddish-brown stains on the floor that are clearly not wine, that it appears as though someone has tried to scrub out several times, but they never quite leave.
Against one of the walls is a very ornate cabinet that if the doors were opened inside, there would be a velvet pillow on which rests a gilded, beautifully decorated knife that carries the air of ritualistic cutting.
We see a pewter basin with a big crack in it and a matching pitcher, but instead of water, the bowl is stained red, as if from blood or maybe wine.
Charlotte, darling, you close the door and keep a lookout. I don't want anybody asking prying questions about what it is I'm trying to do. I'd hate to think that they think I'm not already saved.
Yes, of course, sir. I will keep watch.
But in here, if you like, this room gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Don't tell me you're afraid of the dark, sir.
Not at all, miss. I'm bricky as the next man. But I am nervous of what I might do left to my own devices.
Well, I'm happy to keep watch, both on you and the door.
Watch carefully.
I want to look for any record of this girl. I feel like it's like the Watergate tapes. Like, these men thought they were all powerful. I'm sure they have some sort of written allusion to what they did.
Go ahead and make a information move with reason, please.
It's another 6 and 4 is 10. I'd like to bump it up and get a mastermind clue.
Okay. So, are you using a mask of the past, a mask of the future, or we still have the threat-specific mask, the mask of sacrilege, available?
I'll use a mask of the past.
All right. T, go ahead and read your prompt, and let's hear your mask.
Narrate a flashback to your youth showing what an arrogant, willful brat you were. We hear the sound of breaking glass and a cascade of gold as a young Augustus Hutchinson drops a bottle of champagne on a rough-cut stone stair. Whoopsie-daisy, he says, beaming stupid and red-faced at the boy standing with him in his parents' wine cellar, whose own expression is a blend of mock horror and the thrill of first teenage drunkenness. Augustus shrugs and drops the other bottle he is holding willfully. Clumsy you. Oh, Augie, you're an absolute beast. The textile tycoon's son grins like a cat who ate the canary. Well, don't worry, old sport. Being kept in the dark all this while, these bottles will have bred. There's many more where that came from. He essays his way back to the rack and, feigning at having taste, selects another bottle from the shelf, gripping it by the neck and sliding it slowly from its hole. Still, we shouldn't let them go to waste like that. Your father may own half of Savannah, but that bottle probably costs more than my father makes in a month. Augie sways a bit, and his grin takes on cruelty's glint. You're absolutely right. Lap it up. The poor boy seems confused. What do you mean? You said we shouldn't waste it. Get on your knees and slurp it from where it's puddling there. What, like an animal? Precisely. Come on now. Augie, are you serious? I'm not about to... Do it, or I'll tell my father that your father is responsible for his missing ship in a satin. But you're the one whose idea was to burn... Do you think that matters? It'll be your word against mine, and who do you think my father will believe? Then yours will be out of a job, and you'll never even know what wine like this tastes like again. So, on your knees. The poor boy, less than thrilled now, does as he is told, and gingerly laps at the pool of champagne. Now, get a proper draft. That's good stuff there. I'll get this broken glass. You're right. We should get you something fresh. And with no choice, the boy presses his lips to the stone floor. Hold still, Augustus orders. Then twisting the wire cage off his new bottle and pressing his thumb to the cork, he shakes it, closes one eye, and aims. With a pop, the cork rockets through the air, and the poor boy cries out, "You shot me!" Augustus pours the champagne onto the floor in front of him. But drink, or the next thing you feel will be that broken bottle's jagged edge. The cellar goes quiet, save for the sound of the boy's attempts to stifle his sobs and the pathetic lapping of his tongue against the cobbles. Sounds like you're getting low. Allow me to top you off. Augustus unbuttons his trousers. Let's see if your palate is sophisticated enough to distinguish between the vintages.
Miss Thanero, first of all, describe the cocktail that you and Miss Belrose are drinking.
This cocktail has an amber quality to it, but it almost seems darker with like hints of red, and there's a smoked top on it. And when it's presented, it is presented under glass. And it definitely burns going down, and I'm going to say would leave your tongue silver for a day.
I love that.
Miss Belrose holds her glass up to you. To new friends.
Cheers, my darling.
Cheers.
Ina drinks this very quickly. She is accustomed to it. It's a regular staple when she comes here for her to get this drink. So for her, that burning sensation doesn't really register. But she watches Sylvia to enjoy a potential reaction.
It is quite strong for the middle of the day.
Yes, darling, but just give it 10 minutes and you'll feel divine.
Oh, it is a very curious flavor. Quite exotic.
Yes, exotic is a great word for it. It almost has a hint of metal to it.
So, drinks in hand, let's gossip.
Oh, darling, I am so ready. Do tell me all about these lovely little assistants that you happen to be acquainted with.
Go ahead and make the information move with presence, please.
That is an 8 plus my presence of 3, so that is an 11.
Well, my rendezvous was only with one of Miss Beaumont's assistants, although they are twins, so I suppose they could have switched places and I wouldn't have any idea. They're called the Sisters Sendula. They are quite mysterious.
They must be with a name like that.
Oh yes, they are always seen together. Only at night, the oddest thing.
So how did you happen upon them? What were you up to out late in the odd hours?
Well, I do fancy myself a bit of an occultist, Miss Thanero, drawn as I am to the strange and unusual.
Well, you must absolutely see about getting a membership here then, darling. This is right up your alley.
I encountered the sisters at a seance.
And who are you trying to contact, my love?
Oh, it hardly matters. I'm inclined to believe that the woman was a fraud, but it was a fun evening out. But the Sister Sendula, quite the sight. Always veiled, the two of them are. Black lace and elbow gloves. Even when we had our time in private, they were veiled all the same. They are very particular, the sisters. Very taken with beauty, very set on dressing their models. I'll be honest, they got a bit clingy for my tastes. I'm not one to revisit an encounter, but they were very odd indeed, and I do have them to thank for my appointment with Miss Beaumont, though I can't say that I would be interested in having another encounter with the Sisters Sendula.
Well, that could be terribly awkward with them working in the shop. Are you sure you wish to keep your appointment, or would you maybe consider giving it to me?
Oh, well, I suppose you and I are approximately the same size. If you perhaps went under my name. I do want the garment, though.
Oh, darling, of course, I wouldn't dream of keeping it.
I dare say that the Sister Sendula will know that you are using my name.
Well, perhaps I can tell them you've fallen ill, and we just couldn't bear wasting their time.
Now that is an idea indeed. Oh, Miss Thanero, you are quite the clever one, aren't you?
I like to think I can be calculating when it calls for it.
She finishes her drink and catches the waiter's eyes and flashes 2 fingers in much the same way that you did. And the cloches are placed on your table. And Miss Thanero, when you raise to lift your dome off the platter, inside is not a Stygian smoke. It is a sealed jar containing spider husks, bundled herbs, and a small patch of human skin. Bon appetit, madam, says a veiled voice. And yet when you turn, there is no one there. That is a clue for the spider silk seamstress. Let's close out our day within the archives of Kilburn Abbey. Mr. John, you are making your way through the extremely disorganized archives within Kilburn Abbey. It takes quite some time, I think. You're in there for at least an hour poring over records, most of which are of no interest to you. But 2 documents catch your eye. One of which is a slip of paper that looks to be possibly centuries old, talking about a failed exorcism that was performed on an orphan girl. This report continues saying that as a result of this, the girl did unfortunately die. That is a clue for the demon of Kilburn Abbey. The other bit of information you find here, I think, is of little note to Mr. John, but is a mastermind clue for those of us above the table. You find a slip of paper denoting that the deed to the land upon which Kilburn Abbey stands belongs to a Mrs. Theodora Brathwaite. That is a mastermind clue.
Does the deed include the terms of the sale? Like, did she purchase it outright? Was it a gift for some reason?
It says that she purchased it in the late 1840s.
John reads this over. The long hours of reading in a dark room, not something he is accustomed to, and wearing on his eyes and his patience. The smell of blood and sweat seeping into his limbic system and irritating, something a little bit less than human about him. And with this smoking gun of what to him looks like either a murder or an attempt to cover up the binding of this demon, just mutters to himself, "Oh, Mary, this London's a wonderful sight." And he rounds on Charlotte. "I gotta save you, girl."
From what, Mr. John?
"This church. There ain't nothing here for you. They're gonna take whatever they can from you and then hang you out to dry."
I had heard rumors of this place.
And yet you came here anyway.
Yes, because I knew that you'd protect me, Mr. John.
Did you now?
I'd hoped.
So you went and got thee to a nunnery in order to lure me into the belly of the beast so that I might play the knight and save you, huh?
I assure you, I did not. It was not my attempt to tempt you, Mr. John.
Well, you really can't take the harlot out of Charlotte, can you?
There goes those pretty words again.
John grabs the golden knife off of its pillow and brings the blade to the hem of her habit at the base of her throat. Careful you don't bite off more than you can chew.
There is a darkening of Charlotte's expression.
I assure you, sir, though I have taken my vows, my appetite is still strong.
You're not the only one here who has a hunger. And takes the knife and, without marring her flesh in the slightest, cuts her habit, exposing her body. I know from personal experience you take pleasures in pain. And he drops the knife and picks up one of the disciplines. Shall we return to our wicked ways?
Give me my sin again.
John takes up another discipline and begins to Florentine her back, causing it to redden as blood flushes to the area.
As the blood begins to well on her back, Charlotte turns to face you, biting her lip ever so slightly.
You said something about appetites?
Charlotte smiles at you and sinks to her knees in front of you.
I'd like to get a closer look at that scar.
As she unbuttons your trousers.
Body of Christ. And grips her head rather tightly as he gives in to this very carnal aspect of his nature.
Shadows in the Smoke is a Kitten Marlowe production. This episode was edited and produced by Kim Dalton and featured a theme song by Jake Pierle. You can find out more about us by visiting kittenmarlowe.com, signing up for our newsletter, or following us on socials. For Discord access, an exclusive behind-the-scenes show, and more, visit patreon.com/kittenmarlowe and join the best people we know, our Kitten Marlowe patrons, in supporting artist-driven storytelling. Thanks for listening.